Thank you, George, for your generous donation to this ministry. Now, if there are other people out there who are seeking to send in their donations, then the links are in the video description down below. First things first, I had a serious question for a conservative Jew that I was friends with for a while. And one of the things that I asked her was, well, you recite the Birkat Haminim, standing prayer, against people like me 3 times a day, and your leaders put death curses on me as well 5 times a day rather than the standard 3. So if that's happening, how are we going to maintain relational stability? And you might be thinking, why does it even matter, Max? Well, it matters because some precious people are taking precious time out of their day to recite death curses against millions of Nazarenes every single day. And some of them don't even realize that that's what they're doing. And the crazy thing about it all is we are constantly accused of appropriating the Jewish culture when all we're doing is trying to keep the laws of Moses, because they're the very same laws that Yehoshua or Jesus commanded us to do. Matthew chapter 6 and verse 33 says, "Seek first the kingdom of Elohim and his righteousness," and his righteousness would be his Torot or his instructions, "and everything else will be added to you." Now, there are a couple really stupid arguments I hear about Jesus not being the Messiah from the rabbi's perspective, but their audience members buy them because they don't think for themselves. Number one is, Jesus is not explicitly in the Tanakh, so he can't be the Messiah. Well, the Messiah's name is not in the Tanakh at all. So if we're really going to use that standard, like totally, completely to its logical conclusion, then Bar Kokhba couldn't have been the Messiah either, because his name isn't explicitly found in Tanakh, yet one of the Tanakhic sages wanted to nominate him as a candidate for Messiah. And whoever the next Messiah candidate is, I can leverage that argument against him and say, well, his name isn't found in the book of Isaiah, his name isn't found in the book of Daniel, his name isn't found in Ezekiel. Why should I care about this guy? And if you really want to take this epistemological double standard to its conclusion, well then oral law is not a term explicitly mentioned in Tanakh either. So why do you keep it? You know, it's convenient because you'll practice all these nonsensical traditions that you don't even find in the Bible whatsoever, but the moment the name Jesus comes into the picture, you guys all turn into Karaites. And this is exactly why we use conceptual blueprints to find the Messiah, like what he's supposed to do and what scriptures he's supposed to fulfill, and not arbitrary standards like, well, his name isn't found directly in the Tanakh. No one is named in the Tanakh as the Messiah. The argument is just as silly as me going up to somebody at a store and that person telling me, your name is not Max because you don't have a name tag on. The second argument is that much of Messianic Judaism, or what you might call Torah observant Christianity, is culturally appropriating Judaism. Now, if you want to turn that logic on its head and you want me to do an Uno reverse card, I could easily say that Judaism has appropriated Christianity in many ways as well then. For example, in Judaism, there is this category called Messiah, son of Joseph, and they believe that he's supposed to die in some eschatological event, and he's supposed to suffer, later to be resurrected by the so-called Messiah, son of David. Now, this idea of a servant who suffers, who dies, and is resurrected is an inherently Christian idea. And for you to replicate it like that, I guess, according to your standards, would be a form of appropriation. To add to that checkmate, Messiah, son of Joseph and Messiah, son of David are not even terms that exist within the Tanakh. So I might use them to talk with an Orthodox Jewish rabbi when it comes to messianic roles to talk about how Yeshua kind of fulfills each role, right? But for the purposes of remaining purely biblical, those are not terms that exist within the canon of the Tanakh. So why do many Jews accept them, and why do many Jews divide the Messiah into 2 or potentially a plurality of individuals? So this whole Jesus is not in the Tanakh argument bears a lot of witness against you, because when it comes to many of the other practices and doctrines that you believe, you don't want to explicitly stick to the Bible. What I'm saying is, if this argument that every rabbi uses against Jesus about his name not being explicitly mentioned in Tanakh is used against every future claimant who is saying that they're the Messiah, they are disqualified immediately. Now, certain Jewish communities have this trope about non-Jews being cattle. And on top of that, the Talmud says that a non-Jew who attempts to keep Shabbat should receive the death penalty. Sounds like a nice friendly book, huh? Anyways, given this, it's quite interesting that the Bible tells cattle and livestock to keep the Shabbat and to glorify God on the seventh day by also resting with their human owners. So technically, if Gentiles really are cattle, then they should also be resting according to the Torah. Checkmate. There's also a Talmudic ruling that suggests that binding a person and leaving them to starve is an indirect cause of death. Therefore, that person does not deserve the death penalty. That's insane. Okay, that's very unbiblical. What happened to what it says in Leviticus chapter 19? To love your neighbor as yourself. So is that what Elohim commanded, or is this some crazed heretic making up nonsense that goes directly against God's law? The Talmud is literally just a disaster. I mean, look at the way that it's written. These people literally thought they were so intellectual, and that got them so close to God. Oh yeah, let's just make up all these random hypotheticals and let's just make them as crazy as possible so that we can invent our new laws that go directly against God's law. And the crazy thing about that is it's just like the United States government. It's very tyrannical. Oh, you know, what if this person shoots that person in that way and then this thing happens? We need a red flag law to prevent that, because if we can just get people on how we can predict their behaviors, then we can stop crime altogether. And so this whole fence around Torah mentality makes like literally no sense. And when you read the Talmud, it's literally written kind of like this. If a man goes to steal from a grandma's house, he is liable. But if he does it while it is under 85 degrees and he has white socks on and black Crocs on while he does it, he is not liable. So they make their own laws, quite literally, and then make loopholes to those laws. And this is why when Yehoshua came on the scene, he said exactly this about the teachers of the law. They praise me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. Because they say, the Holy One, blessed be He, followed by all these paragraphs and paragraphs of heresy, and they practice a lifestyle that is far from the God of Israel. Oh, so, you know, Max, in the Talmud, it also says about when you bind this person and you starve them to death, that they're liable before the heavenly court. You forgot about that part. Oh yes, I should definitely celebrate the fact that you included that little nuance in the Talmud, because you can't establish justice in the land on earth like Elohim already commanded you to do. And don't even get me started on the Christian side, because I'm about to address that next. I heard a horror story where there was some individual telling me that a person in church was told they don't have the Holy Spirit because they don't talk like, because they don't speak tongues of fire for the Holy Spirit. Okay, so on Sunday, your pastor's up there telling people to violate God's law all the time. And he has the Spirit, even though he is telling people to disobey, allegedly, right? He doesn't have the Spirit. He has a spirit of disobedience. Let's just clear that up right now. But this man, because he doesn't say, he doesn't have the Spirit because he can't do that. That's not even what tongues mean. Let's talk about it.